Thanks for listening to the Aggie Up podcast, brought to you by UStateAggies.com. Okay, thanks for listening. This is the Aggie Up podcast, as you know. So thanks for listening. iHeartRadio, there's a few different ways to listen. So we appreciate it, as always. This episode, we're going to preview the USC game for the most part. But we're going to start out by talking a little bit about the Weber State game. And we're also joined by Seth. What's up, Seth?
What's up?
And Brian's on this week, so it's actually all three of us. So we've got three of us on the podcast. This is like a rare feat, and we're going to be joined by Ryan Abraham on Twitter. He's Inside Troy. He's been covering USC for quite a while. I think he's a Heisman voter. I mean, he's been around a while. He knows that program inside and out. He runs the Scout.com site for I think it's USCFootball.com. So he's going to join us. That should be a great chance to pick his brain and kind of see where, how everything is shaken out. I mean, they played Alabama, so they almost had one extreme, and the Aggies had the other extreme, because Weber State may or may not end up being a very good FCS team. And Alabama, I don't think anybody doubts that they're going to be a good team. They may not be a top 10 team for all we know. Maybe, and that may be good for the Aggies, but they look pretty darn good to me. So I'm not expecting a big drop-off with the freshman quarterback and all that kind of stuff. Did you guys watch that Alabama-USC game?
Yeah, I watched into the third quarter.
It was pretty much over by that point. So
yes, it was.
So yeah, it probably tells a lot more about Alabama being good and USC being not as good. So that doesn't necessarily mean a lot. First game to second game should be interesting. But speaking of the Aggies' first game, what did you think, Seth, of the first game against Weber?
Well, we came out and did what we were supposed to do. I mean, I think I hate to say it, but the junior high coach could have called that game on the offensive side of the ball. I was really pleased with the offense. I mean, those of you that didn't make it to the game, out-of-state guys or gals that are listening, I've never been in that stadium with a wind like that. That was crazy. It was blowing out of the north and the south and the east and the west. It was going all over the place. So throwing the ball, we didn't play our cards, obviously. USC didn't get a look at that, but I think a lot of the runs were the same run plays. I mean, we didn't have to get too creative with any of that stuff either on the defensive side of the ball. There's a few things that have got me worried. Middle linebackers, I don't know, I rewatched the game a couple of times, actually, and just watch different personnel groups and just different positions and stuff, and I wasn't too pleased with how the middle linebackers played, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there, if they're going to shake anything up. Had a lot of problems just missing tackles, just not wrapping up. In coverage, I mean, USC's got a stud tight end, a couple of them, and I mean, Weber State's tight end just ate us alive, and just find the soft spot in the zone in the middle, and I mean that they were just killing us. Weber was killing us with that. We just couldn't do anything. The linebackers wouldn't drop quick enough. I don't know. That's got me worried. But I think the other positions, I think the defensive front, I had a guy. He didn't think our defensive line played very good, and I beg to differ, and he didn't agree with me, and I don't know. I think they did what they were supposed to do. I mean, Travis was commanding, double teams, and he's getting double teamed by, their center and then their preseason big sky guy. I mean, he was doing what he was supposed to do. It's just like the linebackers weren't filling quick enough. And I'm not worried about our secondary guys. I think they played pretty well. Kickoff coverage. I don't know. Jake didn't seem to be kicking the ball. I don't know if that was the wind or what, but wasn't getting the ball in the air very well. But that sums it up for me. Anyone else stop talking and let Brian go, see if he has anything else to add.
Seth, I pretty much saw the same game you did from the same point of view anyway. When you're talking about the defensive line, I think they did do a good job. They got some penetration. The 3 down linemen are supposed to just eat up their blocks and, force the ball out of the quarterback's hand if it's a pass. But really just open up the holes for the linebackers to fill and make the tackle, which they did. Our 3 leading tacklers for the night were Lecky Wasike, Alex Huerta, and Anthony Williams, with 9 and 7 tackles between Huerta and Williams, Wasike with 9. So that's what our defensive scheme is designed to do, is have the 3 down linemen eat up blockers and linebackers read and react, fill the holes, and make the tackles. Now, regardless of whether we feel like the inside linebackers especially played too terribly well, they still put up the numbers that they were probably required to do. I am in the same boat as you, Seth. I don't think that the inside linebackers played too terribly. The tight end did eat us alive. He managed to find that cushion right in between the linebackers and the safeties. We've got to find a way to shrink that area down. Maybe it's the linebackers need to get more depth in their pass drop. Maybe the safeties are getting too deep and they need to not fall back so far. I'm sure that's been addressed by now with game day just 4 days away. I'm sure it was addressed over the weekend. So it was probably good to get a Weber State out of the way, kind of get a look at communication or possibly lack thereof, and really work things out between that back 7 or 8 guys. So I did think the cornerbacks were really solid. I'm looking forward to a Jalen Davis, Schuster-Smith matchup on Saturday. I think that's going to be a good matchup to see at quarterback wide receiver. Dallin Levitt was really solid. I thought he did a good job. Jeantrell Rockamore did a really good job. Carmen had a solid game. He's filling the Fackrell role in the defense this year, but Aggie fans need to remember that Brock Carmen is not Kyler Fackrell. Just let Brock play his game. He's not going to do anything flashy. He's just going to be a bring your lunch pail to work, blue-collar kind of guy, which is what Aggie fans really should be able to appreciate anyway. I really liked Ntongiai. I thought he did a really good job at defensive end. I think he finished as the 4th leading tackler for the night, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he had 6 tackles, had a half tackle for loss. So Ntongiai did his job, and really that's the first time he's seen starter minutes. So Ntongiai is only going to get more and more comfortable as the time goes on. We got what we expected out of Ricky Aliafua and Travis Seafelt. Being the senior studs that they are, both filled their roles really well. Offensively, aside from the 428 yards rushing that everybody's probably already talked plenty about and maybe beat to death, I thought the tight ends really showed some promise. Wyatt Houston caught 3 balls for 32 yards. Landon Horn caught his first catch of his career for just a 5-yard gain, but still, that's 4 receptions from the tight end spot. We didn't have Dax Raymond again, but also I want to talk about Joey Palangi and filling kind of a hybrid tight end H-back type role, and was the lead blocker for a lot of big runs by Mays especially. Palangi really just, once he got outside the tackles there, really went and just attacked whoever was in front of him. Just cut that guy down to size, and I really liked his aggressive nature. There wasn't really much to say about the passing game. With the swirling winds, obviously Kent wasn't able to throw a whole heck of a lot. If I remember right, he just went 11 at 17, 100 yards even. So not real flashy, not much pizzazz. And my guess is maybe that was what, regardless of whether the wind was swirling the way it was or not, that was probably played into Coach Wells' hands a little bit. He probably didn't want to really open it up much anyway, so it worked out for the best. So, yeah, I was impressed with the offensive game. I was impressed with the offensive rushing attack. Tight ends looked great, so did the offensive line. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do on Saturday against the big boys. What do you think, Isaac?
Okay, cool, Brian. Ryan Abraham's on the line, so I guess if you have anything to add, Ryan, we were just kind of finishing up the breakdown of last week's huge win over Weber State. No, I'm just joking. It was kind of the polar opposite of playing Alabama. You start with an FCS team, and you don't know exactly what you can take from it, and maybe it was the same thing for USC. Getting beat by Alabama. They're just on a little bit of a different level, which I'm sure USC fans don't want to hear. But
yeah, it was. You try to learn, I think, about your team when you open a season like that, and if it's an FCS opponent or the defending national champion, either way, you want to try to learn something about your team. I don't know how much USC did get to learn from that game. Are they 46 points worse than Alabama? I don't think so, but that's what the results were. And it was a drubbing from the middle of the second quarter on. USC actually had a lead in the second quarter in that game, and nothing was going right. It did not look like a team that was preparing 9 months and, obviously thinking about this game for 2 years. It just did not look like a well-organized football team. And I think when you have a rookie head coach, and this was actually Clay Helton's 11th game as the head coach, 2 different stints, 2 different interim tags, and then this is his 3rd game as the permanent head coach. But he's 0-3 in those games, and they've lost 4 of their last 5. So there's some real issues, I think, with this team. And to go out, I think a lot of it has to do with what happened in the offseason and hiring and everything. People got excited about it. They thought, hey, I think Clay Helton could be the guy. A lot of the USC fans right now are kind of questioning that now and questioning the decision to hire him. So this is a really pivotal game.
Right. I can hear him, guys. Seth and Brian, do you need to turn up your volume maybe? I had to turn up my volume. Sorry, Ryan. Sometimes
that's okay.
That's the way podcasts work. Obviously, you probably run into it before.
Yeah, with technical
I'm all the way up.
technical stuff, but it's certainly an important game for USC and Clay Helton specifically. He can't lose his players, and this is not. It's kind of a sandwich game when you're talking between Alabama and Stanford and Utah, 6 days apart on the road. So this is a really important for Helton to kind of try to right the ship, and it's obviously not a pushover team. We've seen Utah State do some really good things the last several years, and great coaches, great players. USC better come to play, or they're going to get beat by Utah State.